Good morning. Happy Monday. It is Monday. I don't know what it is about Mondays. I can't say. Although I'm blessed every day, Mondays are always an odd day for me. So don't know about you, but today's an odd day for me. And as I got up this morning, and it's just one of those mornings, it's like, okay, God, the sun is shining, the skies are blue, it's beautiful. I have a loving husband. I have successful children. I have a job with a great team. And yet there was something off. And I'm like, I think what it's coming down to, because I had some amazing conversations this weekend. A friend of mine came over, and she was a mentor of mine as I was going through leadership. And now we're both mentors, and she's an amazing friend. And we had the opportunity to talk about how God's moving in our lives and how he shows up. And I don't know about you, but I love God Talks. God Talks give me the ability to hear from others and hear what God has to say and be a little bit contemplative. And so today, as those thoughts in my mind continue, as I continue to seek God's will in my life in every area, I was listening to I often get on YouTube when I don't know what to think or what to do. I get on YouTube and listen to prayers. And so there were all these amazing prayers this morning, and the one I was listening to is, what's it called? It was not God is going to trust God for the impossible and pray bold prayers every morning. And so it's a bunch of pastors, many of whom I'm sure you know, that are praying these prayers. And several times last week I had got into conversations about praying specific, because a lot of things have come up since last week, and it's just like, okay, God, I've got this burden which is not mine to carry. You ever feel that way? Do you feel like you have a burden that's just, you can't put your finger on it, but it's not something that you want to hold on to? And so, I do a couple things. So I chatted with my friend this weekend. We really talked about, how to face the next steps. And, is God, because God's always testing us, is God testing my faith to trust him that everything is already done, everything is already set in motion, and am I trusting that even though I can't see? So think about Abraham. Abraham was called by God and said, go where I tell you to go. He didn't tell him before he left. He's like, gather up your things, get your family, and go. And so he did. And that's faith. When Peter stepped out of the boat and said, Jesus, call me so that I might walk on water, he was able to walk on water. It's only when he took his eyes off the prize that he started sinking. So that just makes me think too, as I'm thinking out loud here, how do we fully step into our faith? When we know that it can move mountains, how do we fully step into our faith? When you see what you're facing today and you're thinking, okay, what's next? Because we always go into the list, what do I do next? And yet, and God is so good this way, he gave me, as I was looking up something on my email, it says, before you ask what's next, ask this question. And I want to reference the story of David and Goliath. I love that story. It was the beginning of David's journey in a whole new way. He'd been preparing, God's been using him in the field, and he took him from this low position, because shepherds were the lowest of the low. Like, if you could have a low job, that would be, that people look down on, that would be it. And this is how cool God is. He can use anyone. He can use you right where you are if you're just open up to it. And David had this unique boldness and confidence about him. I mean, keep in mind, he fought bears, he fought lions, he fought wolves with a stick. He had this innate boldness and confidence in him. So when you think about what's next, do you boldly move towards it? Or do you sit there and question and, am I, is this really what I should do? Or you get distracted by something else that's coming up. And this is what I know. Let me read a little bit about David. David accepts the challenge. So David rose early in the morning and left the flock with a keeper and took the supplies and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the circle of the camp while the army was going out in battle, array shouting the war cry. And Israel and the Philistines drew up in a battle array, army against army. Then David left his baggage in the care of the baggage keeper and ran to the battle line and entered in order to greet his brothers. First thing, David left his baggage. He couldn't move forward while he was still carrying the baggage. What are you holding on to that's keeping you from moving forward in your life, in your walk with Christ, what are the obstacles that are getting in the way? What's in the gap from getting where you know God's calling you? And this could be, it doesn't have to be a ministry. Where he's calling you, in your home, in your relationships, in your work. What is in the gap? Because whatever's up here is baggage. Whatever is causing you to question and be in doubt, that's baggage. So, and he was talking with them. He was at the borders with his brothers. Behold, the champion, the Philistine from Gath, named Goliath, was coming up from the army of the Philistines. And he spoke these same words, and David heard them. When all the men of Israel saw the man, they fled from him and were greatly afraid. Now, you've got to realize the Philistines were very tall people. And so they appeared as giants compared to most. And they were strong and they were powerful, and Goliath was the biggest of them all. He was mean, he was brutal, he was all about the war. And so, and the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who is coming up? Surely he is coming up to defy Israel, and it will be that the king will enrich the man who kills him with great riches, and will give him his daughter and make his father's house free in Israel. So here you've got all of these prepared warriors who have fought battles saying, this guy's too big, but, there's this prize. Do we do it? Do we not do it? We get that in life. It's like, okay, here are some benefits, but do we really move that? But it seems so big. What are the giants in your life right now that's keeping you from moving forward in your health? Keeping you, and I've got my journal here, my health journal that I'm going to start keeping again today, because I get to understand where the trouble is, where the health issues, where's the gap, and where I want to be. And so, writing it down. But is your health your giant? Is your job your giant? Is making a decision about moving and going to the next level your giant? We all face giants, but it's how we face them. And this is what I want to say about David. Then David spoke to the men who were standing by him, saying, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should taunt the armies of the living God? See, he knew this giant was nothing. He knew that his God was bigger than this giant. I don't know if this is resonating with you, but gosh, in the decisions that I'm getting ready to make, this is totally where I needed to go. And it was one little prayer that I heard this morning that God was like, this is what you get to talk about today, Donna. So let me wrap this up. And the people answered him in according with this word, saying, thus it will be done for the man who kills him. Now Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men, and Eliab's anger burned against David, and he said, "Why have you come down? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness?" He was demeaning him. He's saying, "You are nothing. You are a shepherd. You have nothing but to take care of a few sheep. I know your insolence and the wickedness of your heart, for you have come down in order to see the battle." But David said, "What have I done now? Was it not just a question?" So do you ever feel like, you're moving towards something, and what's ever in front of you, everybody's saying you can't do it. You can't do it. This isn't right. Why are you leaving a job that has good money? Why are you, and you get all of these questions about where you're going. Our head will tell us, you can't lose weight. You can't get healthy. Look at you. You've tried so many times. Or your marriage or your finances. How are you ever going to do this? See, those questions of doubt come in, and oftentimes it's not somebody out there, it's from within. But David said, "What have I done? It was just a question." Then he turned away from him to another and said the same thing, and the people answered the same as before. Now, when the words which David spoke were heard, and they told them to Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart fail on account of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." Then Saul said to David, "You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said to Saul, again the doubts, but David said to Saul, "Your servant was tending his father's sheep, when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock. I went out after him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he rose up against me, I seized him by his beard, and I struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted the armies of the living God." Note that he keeps saying the living God, because no matter what, David doesn't lose sight of who he serves. It isn't his father's sheep. It isn't his brothers. It isn't even Saul. He never loses sight of the fact that he's got the living God. And then he says, in verse 37, and this is 1 Samuel, by the way, 1 Samuel 17. "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." And Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." See, David already knew that he could crush his giant. Do you have the confidence that whatever's next, you can conquer your giant? Because here's the question: it's not what's next, it is about what is. What's good? What's good in your service, in your relationship to the living God? So don't think about what's next. Think about what's good. What is good in the eyes of the Lord? See, God has already equipped you to move forward. He's equipped you to go forward and conquer the giant. He's equipped you to go forward into whatever he's calling you to do next. And sometimes, I remember a day I was facing a really big giant and betrayal from a bunch of women that I thought were my friends. And in that moment, I went to my mentor, and she said, "Donna, what do you have to do next?" See, that next thing was the good thing, because it was taking care of my children. And now as I face, a lot of uncertainties, what is the good thing? Are you facing uncertainties? Are you not sure what to do next? Then I invite you to go to prayer. David already knew. He picked up 5 simple stones, 5 smooth stones. Know what you know. Don't doubt that God has already put into you all that you need to get your to go to the next place in your work, to go to the next place in your health, to go to the next place in your relationships, to go to that next place with yourself. God's already equipped you. Think of all the things that you've done, and we've done so many things. He's been equipping you the whole time, just like he equipped David. Know that that giant is nothing compared to the living God. Know that he has what you need, and he's already won the war. We just get to trust. Trust and pray boldly. Pray really specific. And if there's something that you need prayer specifically about, I would be happy to join you in that. And I invite you to either message me or leave it here, because here's the thing. When you leave it here and there's other people that come and listen to this later, they can join in prayer. Because it says, where two or more are gathered in my name, I hear your cries and I answer your prayers. This is a place where we can come together as Christians and truly, truly build one another up. This isn't me just sharing in the morning. This is a place where we can all take these scriptures, apply them to our lives, and live successfully together. Dear Heavenly Father, I just come before you, God, and I thank you that you give us the wisdom, that you share these beautiful stories with us that were more than stories. They were people's lives just like us, Lord. Lord, I pray that you go before us just as you went before David, that you impart in us a boldness and a confidence to face whatever is next. Lord, let us choose the thing that is the good thing, that focuses and glorifies your name. David didn't do it to win the king's daughter. David did it to show that the living God, you, God, are the greatest of all. You are our treasure. You are our hope. You are our trust. Lord, whatever baggage that we are holding on to, I pray that you just give us the strength to lay it down. We lay it down before you now, Lord, and leave it behind, just as David left his baggage. Just like the woman at the well left her water bottle, her urn, that heavy burden that she carried. Just like so many, Lord, laid down what was holding them back. Lord, let us lay down what's holding us back. Give us clarity, give us wisdom, give us boldness, give us confidence as we step into this world, as we step into whatever uncertainty we're facing, Lord, because we know that we serve the living God, and you, Lord, have already deemed it possible. You've already made it possible for us to slay the giant. Lord, let us do all things to honor and glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen. I pray that whatever giant you're facing today, go read in 1 Samuel 17 the story of David, and know that that giant is nothing compared to the living God. And that when we lay down our baggage and we go boldly and confidently, just as David did, and use the gifts that we already have, that we've already been equipped with, that is when we conquer giants and we move forward into the land and the promises that God has for us. If you know somebody that is looking for hope, I invite you to share this with them. And if you have a giant that you're facing, like I said, share it here so that we can all pray together to conquer these giants, because we are so in this together. Have a very beautiful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow.